Hey there, this is Natalie, back with more of the best stories from Reddit. Please give this video a like and gently caress the subscribe button if you enjoy these videos, and I'll keep them coming for you every day. Now this is a crazy story from 2 years ago, which was originally posted by user Fully Faithful Wife. And it's a fully concluded story with full updates, which we'll get to. The title is, My 29 female, husband 31 male, got a paternity test on our daughter, 5 female, and it came back negative, but I never cheated. Now he thinks our relationship is a lie and wants to divorce. What do I do? And OP begins, I don't know how it happened, and I haven't been able to stop crying all day. I never cheated. I love my husband. We've been together since college and he's the love of my life. He's handsome and kind, and while I've slept with 2 other people, both were before we got together. There is no other potential father for our daughter. We were married already and actively trying for a baby. I never cheated. I never would cheat, and I don't know why he took that stupid test, because I would never ever cheat. But it came back negative, and now he thinks he's not her dad. I don't know how to convince him it was a faulty test, and I'm so scared. These past few months, it's like he's become someone completely different from the man I married. He's cold and suspicious. He kept demanding to see my phone and wouldn't tell me why. And I showed him at first, but eventually told him I wouldn't anymore, unless he explained why. He's been distant with our daughter too. He stays in his office for hours on end, and I don't know what he's doing. I did not cheat. He accused me this morning, saying he'd done the test after realising that our daughter's eyes, brown, wouldn't naturally come from ours, both blue, and that he wanted me to get out of the house. I didn't leave, and he locked me out of our bedroom, and now I'm in my daughter's room. This is terrifying. What should I do? And then there's an edit. The specific advice I want is how I can prove I'm innocent, and how to make sure this relationship works. I want to keep my family together at all costs. Also, I just had a conversation with my husband. He's out of his room now, and we discussed some things. I told him again that I would never cheat, and started talking about a list I made of tests I want done, but he told me he didn't want to hear it right now. We're going to have a longer conversation tomorrow, and he says that he still loves our daughter, and he won't try to keep me out of the house or our room for now. I asked him to hug me, and he did. I'm scared that I won't be able to convince him. I just want our family to go back to normal. How can I be a good wife and support his needs while proving my innocence? TLDR, my husband confronted me this morning saying our daughter isn't biologically his after a failed paternity test, but I never cheated. Now, before we get to the update, if we are to believe that she really didn't cheat, and she sounds like, she's as confused about this as anybody, then it is suspicious that the daughter has brown eyes if both parents have blue. I'm basing this on high school level biology, but I'm pretty sure that's impossible. So if she didn't cheat, then could we be looking at maybe the daughter isn't either of their child? Maybe there was a mix-up at the hospital or something like that. I'm actually reading this one live, so I don't know what the answer is, but we're going to find out because there are full updates to this post. So here's the first. Hi everyone. First off, I wanted to thank everyone who reached out. My original post got so much attention. It was hard to get to everything, but I ended up making a list of plans and tests I wanted to get done. My husband was understandably distrustful of me for a while, but he apologised for the way he acted, which I didn't need, and said that he wouldn't try to kick me out of the house. He did say, though, that if every test came back and I'd cheated, then he was going to go scorched earth. We did a few tests, blood paternity tests for him and me and our daughter, and we had an appointment with a chimerism specialist coming up, but that got cancelled because, well, some of you guessed it, but my daughter is not biologically mine either. I don't know how this happened, but a police officer came to our house and took our statements, and we're suing the hospital where I gave birth. I don't know what happened to my baby, and that is terrifying. I have my husband back, but my whole world was still upended, and I just wish he'd never taken that stupid test. I've been sleeping in my daughter's room, and I'm so afraid that she's going to be taken away from me, but at the same time, I want to know where my biological daughter is, and if she's okay. I pray to God she's okay. My daughter still doesn't know the details, and we've been trying to keep this quiet. The last thing we need is a big scandal. I don't want people who know us to look at her differently. She deserves better than that. She's such a good kid, and she's not some spectacle to be gawked at. If we can find her birth family, I have no idea what we'll do. I guess the best case scenario would be to get a bigger house and all live together, but I don't know if we can afford that, or if they'd go for that, or even if we'll be able to locate them, or if I'm just crazy. This whole situation is crazy. I don't know anyone else who's been in a situation like this. I mean, are there support groups for parents of kids who got mixed up? I googled and nothing came up. Literally all I'm getting are tabloid articles from trashy magazines that slap the faces of innocent kids on the same pages as celebrity sex scandals and fiction. How do we tell our daughter? I mean, we can't tell her now. She'll tell all the kids at school and then it'll be everywhere. But we have to say something. I don't know what I ever did to deserve this. TLDR, my daughter is not biologically mine or my husband's. And then there's another update where the husband gives his perspective. OP says, "Hello everyone, so apparently a YouTuber my husband watches called Mark Narrations decided that it would be a fun idea to read my post on his channel. My husband recognised the story because, well, of course he recognised the story, how could he not? This doesn't happen every day. Then he went on my account page. Then he found quite a few comments about him that were not exactly nice. And now he's asked me for a chance to post his side of the story on this account so that people stop trashing him. Please be nice." And the husband says, "So I don't know how many of you have been down a self-doubt rabbit hole before, but it's not the most logical place to be. It's even less logical when you have the whole damn internet telling you that your wife is cheating and that she's planning to take the house and take you for all you're worth and never really loved you, and you always sort of thought she was too good for you anyway, so you end up seeing everything as a sign of infidelity. And then you get not one, but 2 failed paternity tests on your daughter. When COVID happened, I got fat. I got depressed. I stopped feeling like a person. My wife stayed beautiful. She stayed herself. I was sure that she'd made a mistake, that she'd regret being with me. I started getting into some online groups, especially on Reddit, that were full of guys who'd been cheated on, lost custody, lost everything. And when someone said that his tip-off was that he and his wife both had blue eyes and their son had brown, I felt frickin' stupid. I didn't want to jump to conclusions, but when I made a post about my fears, everyone said that she was cheating. People said not to say anything, because she'd use it to hide her cheating and get ahead of me on the divorce. I got the test, and I didn't really think it would come back negative. Then it did. I didn't want to believe it, but yeah, I pulled back. I felt betrayed. I wanted to be a good husband, but I couldn't shake this. I tried to find evidence of an affair and failed. I got another test. When that one was also negative, I snapped. If you've ever been cheated on, you know what it feels like. When my wife denied it, I got angrier. I just wanted her to leave. I didn't want to go through what everyone seemed to think was going to happen. I didn't want to lose custody of my kid. I didn't want to lose my house. I was scared and angry, and I wanted the truth. I felt like if she couldn't even be honest, there was no getting past this. I took a few hours to calm down. When she came back with a list of tests to take, I tried to keep my cool. I tried to keep my cool for so long. I know I was wrong about the affair, but so was everyone else in my ear. My kid is genuinely not biologically mine. I didn't immediately consider that switched at birth was an option. I've been through a messed up time, and I don't think getting angry one time because I thought my wife cheated and was lying about it makes me a monster. And then OP continues, "Hi, it's Fully Faithful Wife here again. I just wanted to say that 1, I agree that he's not a monster, an abuser, or anything of that sort. 2. I do not agree that he's fat. I love this man very much and have for ages, and we're not going to let this situation break our marriage. Thank you to everyone for all your help. Wow, I feel really bad for the husband on this one. I mean, yeah, the way that he handled it at first, it was traumatic for the wife, but you can kind of see where he's coming from. He was already in a period of deep insecurity. He was listening to the definitely wrong people about whether or not his wife was the type to cheat. You know what those people are like on subreddits where they just assume all women are evil and want to divorce their husbands and take all the money. And the eye colour thing would have been a big red flag. Other than the very rare condition of chimerism, which I believe is where someone's gametes don't actually match their own DNA, so their children are born with different DNA to the parents. A couple with blue eyes just aren't going to produce a child with brown eyes. And it's normal to assume that if there's a question of one parent not being biologically related, it's going to be the father because, you know, women tend to know when they've given birth. I'm sure this isn't the only time there's been one of these hospital mix-ups, but it's not going to be the first conclusion any man reaches when he finds out his child isn't biologically his. Still, it seems like the wife has definitely forgiven him for his reaction, and they're going to be working through the situation as a couple, and we'll see how they got on with that in the next update. So, OP says, "Hi everyone. All 3,000 people who followed me, all of the YouTubers who made videos, the people on every social media platform from TikTok to Tumblr who've been giving advice. My goodness, there's a lot. Which helps confirm my decision not to go public with any of this. If this is how much attention we get without our names and faces attached, my goodness. I'm very grateful to everyone and hold no ill will towards the people who shared my posts, but I'm very glad that that attention is not directed at my daughters, either of them. I think you all deserve an update, so here goes. We found our biological daughter. She was in foster care. I don't think it's going to surprise a ton of people that the hospital we had her at wasn't in the best area, and she was taken home by a family who ended up under investigation, and apparently, when she was proven not their biological child, she was taken by the state. I feel terrible for that family, but at the same time, so grateful to have found her safe and alive. We've started the adoption process immediately, and, well, we have some pretty significant resources now. I wouldn't say the settlement money makes up for what we went through exactly, but it's close to $2 million. Our lawyer said we could have gotten more in court, but honestly, the hospital wanted to end this fast and quietly, and so we did. We explained to our daughter that her sister is going to be coming to stay with us, and that we still love her very much. She seems ecstatic at the idea. Here's hoping it works out in actuality. We're planning to move away from our town in a few months. We found a wonderful place in a good school district a few states away, and it has plenty of room for our family to grow. I don't know what we're going to do about the other family. My biological daughter doesn't seem to remember them very well, and I don't really want to involve them if I don't have to, but I know it's probably morally wrong not to let them know what happened. I mean, that poor mother must not have any idea what happened. I can only imagine how horrible that would be. For now though, I'm focusing on my daughters and hoping to plan a beautiful life. Finally, my husband. I love him more than anything in the world, and he loves me. We've been through hell and come out the other side, and we are not interested in breaking up or ending the relationship or anything like that. He deleted his Reddit account and he promised that he's going to trust me from now on because, as it happens, our child being switched at birth is more likely than me cheating on him. I love him so much. We're going to be okay. This will hopefully be the last time I use this account. Thank you to everyone who reached out with help and advice. Edit. I've explained as much as I can in the comments. No longer feeding the trolls here. Now, this was the very last update from OP on this topic, and indeed on this account. But it does still leave us with some questions. I mean, even though the other family was investigated by CPS, surely a part of all this would involve them finding out that somebody else is raising their biological child. And why isn't OP concerned that they might have some claim over their daughter that they've been raising? OP does say at the end that she's answered as many questions as she can in the comments, so I'm just going to have a look at some of those so that we can see if she gives any enlightenment on this part of the whole saga. Because I'm sure somebody will have asked. Now, user Thrift All Day says, "Okay, you had me until this last update. There's no way this is true for a multitude of reasons, only some of which I'll list below. 1. Foster care adoptions don't work that way. They take a long time, and people are recommended to foster the child before adopting as well, and take training to handle any emotional issues, since the state don't do take-backs. 2. So the girl wasn't already with a foster family? She was just hanging out in a state closet somewhere? 3. How exactly would you have found this child so quickly, especially given that she would no longer be with the parents? 4. The state discovered the child was not biologically theirs and just left it? Didn't wonder if she was kidnapped or trafficked? 5. The hospital found out they gave you the wrong baby and just said, okay, cool, just keep her? 6. It doesn't matter if the hospital wanted to pay you to make this all go away. They have oversight and ethics committees that would wonder where the 2 million went and aren't going to accept hush money. There are even more holes in this story than what I listed, but I'm stopping here. You stretched the story too much, trying to wrap everything up in a bow. I mean, this commenter does make some good points. But OP replies. To point 1, she says, I said we started the process. We did. It's going to be a complicated process, but my main purpose with this update was to let people know that things seem like they'll be okay. I got so many people worried, and I felt like going into the nitty-gritty details of what's going on would A, give identifying information, and B, lead to more people worrying. 2. Yes, she is with a foster family right now. 3. We hired a private investigator and asked for the hospital's cooperation in litigation. 4. I don't know all the details here. I know very little about the family that raised my baby at this point in time. 5. It has to do with the birth certificate, but legally, our daughter is our daughter. 6. This was a legal settlement, not hush money. This has been a very difficult time in my life, one of the most difficult I've ever been through. If you don't want to believe me, fine, I've gotten used to that, but I would hope that telling my story as it is might help someone else in my situation. If it happened to me, it can happen again. And it was terrifying looking for information and finding next to nothing helpful, and I don't appreciate you assuming things about me. To which a deleted user replied, I love that you don't want this to happen to anyone else, while you are very clearly forcing the other family through exactly what you went through. And you tout that you don't want to go public, but have zero issues plastering this on Reddit. Real people who want real privacy would actually never make this post to begin with. No, I think that's a bit harsh. She never gave away any kind of identifying features or aspects to the story apart from the fact the parents both have blue eyes and the daughter has brown eyes. There's no indication of what state they live in, where this hospital was, or any of that, and in the initial post she was simply asking for advice because her husband was accusing her of cheating due to a failed paternity test, and then the whole rest of the story unfolded after that. Yes, it drew a lot of attention and I believe a lot of YouTubers covered it. I picked it up for this video because I was looking at some of the top stories of the past few years, and this was clearly one that captured a lot of people's attention. She did make it clear that her interest was in keeping her daughter's privacy, and I think she did fine at telling the story in a kind of anonymised way, where only people who were actually involved, like her husband, would recognise it if they saw it on the internet. I think the internet is a good resource when people are looking for information or advice in these kind of strange situations, because you're probably not going to run into someone in your normal life who's encountered this problem before. And while the advice on Reddit isn't always the best, at least if your story gains some traction, you can hear the viewpoints of lots of different people. And you may even find someone who has some kind of experience with your situation and can help you. So while I'm not necessarily satisfied with all of OP's answers to the previous commenters' questions, I think the second commenter, who was complaining about them making it public on Reddit, isn't really making a very good point there. And then there's another commenter, also deleted, who said, you know, if this was real, the other family would also be entitled to get their own kid back, along with $2 million settlement, right? Arguably even more than that, since they had their kid taken away because of a DNA test. There's literally no scenario in which the powers that be just shrug their shoulders and go, finders keepers lol, and let you keep both kids. Never mind move away with them. I know you wanted to wrap this up relatively quickly so people didn't lose interest, but the time frame here is unrealistic. You got multiple paternity and maternity tests done, found your biological daughter, got custody of her somehow, and got $2 million from a not terribly rich hospital, all in under a month and a half? Come the frick on. And there are a lot of other people on here who think this story is fake for similar reasons to the first person that commented there. Personally, I think it's possible that she's oversimplified in the second update, and it's true that they found the daughter and are going through a process to, keep her. But she couldn't be too specific about things, perhaps, without it revealing anything that, might end up in the news. I'm not saying I 100% think it's true. There really are a lot of holes, at least in how you'd assume a situation like this would work from a legal and paternity standpoint. But if her intention was really just to kind of update the people following the story on Reddit with, yes, we found the daughter, yes, we sorted things out with the hospital via a settlement, and, everything's going to be okay, so stop paying attention to the story kind of thing, it's possible that it is true. But what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. Thank you so much for listening to these stories. Don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell for more. And please let me know what you think of this video's stories down below.